And on two. So I have nothing to do with that. I guess we accept things not being perfect a little better than y'all do.
I'm gonna go get my camera because I like this setup right here, and I want to take a picture of you like fake fixing yourself.
Right. Okay.
So I'm done.
Y'all more audio today. Holla at me.
Yeah, we can just
Follow your dreams.
That's a dope photo. I just see you just need to be.
Let's go.
You gotta. You're not seeing the photo.
Yeah, they are.
Perfect. I love that. Hello, Ariana.
Hello, Miss Chantel.
So it's been a year since Follow Your Dreams. A lot has transpired. Can you fill us in?
So, with the first Follow Your Dreams, I had originally created that film for my exit film at the New York Film Academy. Once the students and the professors seen it, they were really taken back on how inspiring the film was. I decided to have a viewing event for it to build an audience in hopes that I can inspire others into following their own dreams. You see in the first film that I was leaving nursing, but what happens after? I felt like I would be robbing the audience if I didn't take them on the journey with me. It wasn't long before I realized that stepping out on your dreams is actually harder, a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be, even if you do have God on your side. I figured that I'll document these moments that's not all glitter and gold. I have no money. I'm $1,000 in debt.
The FAA grounded all domestic flights on Wednesday morning.
I don't know where life is gonna take me.
Today is Ariana's film, how should I call it? Daddy, can you not be right? Mom, how do you feel? Are you excited to see Ariana's film?
Oh yes, darling, I'm ready for it to get into my mansion with Ariana. I got a mansion.
How do you feel? Are you nervous?
I hope they like it.
I think they're gonna like it.
When I decided to do the viewing event, there were some fears that I did have once I released the film because I wasn't sure how people were gonna perceive it. And I knew that I was gonna experience some sort of backlash, and which I did. There were some people that said, oh, she'll be back.
Thank you. Who would have ever thought that I would went from nursing to YouTubing? So I figured, I was like, you know what, maybe I can tell people how I got here, but I said, you know what, let me just find a way to show y'all.
The day when I had the viewing event, we had a nor'easter.
Of heavy snow cutting through Suffolk County right now.
Snowfall rates of 2 to 3 inches per hour. Team coverage across the tri-state.
I didn't know that there was gonna be a storm coming. It hit me off guard. And I'm like, what? When does New York really have nor'easters? So the whole time I'm doing my makeup, I'm like, oh, nobody's gonna come no more. Once we got there and the night progressed, I started to notice that like a lot more people was coming.
Excited, Ari. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't see taking far and be here for all the films or the movies, you feel me?
And before you knew it, the room was packed with people, and it was a blizzard going on outside. Once I was leaving the event that day, I felt like that was God's way of just saying that despite the storm, I would still be there with you. And I was still gonna have the support that I needed. I feel like the nor'easter was almost like foreshadow for what I was walking into.
Hello?
Hi, Diane. How are you? I have a lot of the audio already laid out for the film.
I just need more B-roll shots. So I'm hoping that I can get some access into the hospital to film. Okay, Wednesday works, so let's do Wednesday. Okay, all right, I'm gonna bring the film in. All right, thank you. All right, bye. It's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Who's Diane?
Diane is the PR specialist for Northwell, so she's in charge of anything that has to deal with media. So anybody that wants to come into the hospital to film, she's the one who's in control of it. So this is pretty big.
So when Diane called me, I was shocked. Mommy, guess what? What? I just spoke with Diane. Diane, the PR specialist from Northwell. She's telling me to bring in the film. I just didn't think that little old me, who has no experience in filmmaking, is getting called in to show my film. I didn't even think that she would be interested in seeing it. I drove to the hospital and I brought in the pandemic film. She was watching different parts of it and she loved it. I had said to her, "Can I show you a film real quick?" And I played Follow Your Dreams. There was a part of the film that really struck out to her. She noticed that I had quoted a biblical scripture. And she identified that I was a believer. And she says, "I'm an evangelical Christian, and I've been a Christian for years." And that day, she sat me down. She put her hands on my shoulder. And she started to pray. I felt like the pressure that I was carrying, I felt like she helped alleviate the pressure. When I left that meeting that day, she walked into the CEO's office of the hospital and she told the CEO, "There's a girl who has a movie and we have to help her create it." She called me and she told me that the CEO was willing to help. I would say like about a week after that meeting, I went to sleep and I got a dream. The dream was telling me to work more on your craft and to perfect it. And so I said, all right, I'll work on the craft. How are we gonna work on the craft? And boy, did God bring me on a journey. I was flying all over. I was flying to Houston, Texas, Dallas, Curacao, St. Lucia to do weddings. I was working with other notable videographers. I was working with One Take. I was working with Velo Films NYC. I was even working with people that I would see on TV as a kid. I worked with Eric Sermon. I worked with Lola Brooke. I was doing events for people like Shiggy. And just going around them, they really did teach me the craft. As I was traveling all over the place, remember I wasn't working. So my funds was just depleting, and that was scary. I came back from Houston and I got a dream that I went back to nursing. I don't got no money. I'm $1,000 in debt. You know, I don't really know where my life is going. I thought I was done with nursing. I had decided to go back to my hospital to do a per diem position where it's as needed, just work when I had time. The first day when I had went to work after that long break, I was washing a patient and a scripture had popped up on my phone as I was washing the patient. It had said, "If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you." I interpreted the scripture to be that even though I was going on this journey to be a director and be leading and whatnot, that I was still called to still be a servant. And I think that the more you're humbled is the more God will exalt you. So if God sees it fit that I go back to work, then I have to go back.
May is National Nurses Month, a time to honor these special humans who have dedicated their lives to helping other people.
I believe it was the first week of May. Nurses Week was coming, and Diane calls me and says that the producers of the Drew Barrymore show needs a special nurse to do a cover on for the show. I get a text message, and me and the producer, we have a meeting, and I showed her a little piece of Pandemic. She loved it, and she asked me, when is the film gonna be done? And I told her, I don't know. And she was like, okay, once you get everything together and have this film, please give me a call because we want to take this on as a story. And the moment I hung up with her, I'm like, God, I need a camera now. Like, this is getting bigger than I thought it was gonna be. I need a Netflix camera. God returns back with yet another dream.
I woke up this morning and I got a dream that my cinema camera is coming. And when I went to go buy the camera, it was almost like the camera was free. Like I didn't pay anything for it. I don't know how that's gonna happen because I'm down bad.
I'm sitting there saying, like, how else am I gonna get this camera? Like, how am I not gonna pay for this camera? Only two things came to my mind. I felt like I was either gonna get it through a travel assignment or through a stock that I had invested into.
Okay, this is the beginning of my new journey.
When I was getting signs that I was gonna leave and go into filming, I had gotten a dream that I was to move one of my savings into this one stock, and it's through this one stock was how I was gonna get my company paid for. Remember, I'm not of the film industry, so I don't have producers to help me. And so, as crazy as it sounds, I had moved $36,000 out of my savings into this one stock. I waited to see how he was gonna pay for the camera, because I had ordered 2 cameras, and with the 2 cameras, the total was gonna be $10,500.
First and foremost, I want to thank God for this because I could not have bought this unless it was God. God made me put my money into a stock from that's how the stock went up, and I was able to take the profit from it and buy my cinema camera.
A couple months later, my Robinhood account was just going off because the stock just started to skyrocket. That 36,000 turned into 46, 47,000.
So anytime God tells you to do something, you feel like you don't got the funding, just ask him for the funding, he'll give it to you.
As he promised, he paid for the camera. So after I received the camera, I was super excited. I felt like, all right, let's get the show on the road, let's start filming. I reached out to the producers of the Drew Barrymore show to let them know the camera's here, let's go, let's get this show on the road. And then it just became like a quiet season. I didn't hear anything back. And then I get another setback. I received another dream. And the dream was basically interpreting out to be, your career is gonna launch, but it's not gonna launch the way you think it's going to be launched. It was June 3rd, 2022, and it was my 31st birthday. For some reason, I had this strong urge to have a 90s dance hall party. I wanted it to be Jamaican themed because I am Jamaican.
Yes, yes, you Jamaican, yes!
And I had an upcoming trip to go to Jamaica in July. And it was so fun. We had everyone dressed in old dance hall attire from the 90s, bangles, and I had dreadlocks. And I had dancers come dance, and they were dancing with each other, and it just really gave you a feel like as if you were coming out of Kingston, Jamaica. Ding Dong's dancer, Dancy Ravers, was there, as well as other natives of Jamaica that had just migrated to the US. And we became friends, and after the party, we would just meet up and we would talk and have barbecues together. Interestingly, as I would sit and speak to them, they were disclosing to me some economical issues that they were facing in Jamaica. Hence is the reason as to why they migrated to the States. I was like interested in finding out why Jamaica's economy was as bad as everyone knows it to be. With the trip coming up, right before the trip, I asked God in prayer and I said, am I going to Jamaica for a movie? Is this a movie that you want me to take on in Jamaica? And the night when I prayed that, the next morning, I woke up hearing a song in my dream. And it was, thank you, Jah, wake up this morning.
Roll out the earth before me start drowning. Turn round, bust a kiss for me darling. Tell her, say, honey, me a touching at the street. In the street, me see poor people bawling. Enough juvenile.
So when I heard it the morning, and when I went to go look at the words of Thank You, Jah. Thank You, Jah is a song that speaks about all the economical issues that Jamaicans face on a day-to-day basis. And that was my confirmation that Jamaica was going to be my next film. And I said, okay, Jamaica it is.
Murderer, murderer. See.
When I thought about traveling to Jamaica, I originally was gonna stay in Montego Bay. But right before I had left, I started to do research on where would this film take place? Where would I be able to see a lot of the economical issues that my friends had spoken about? And I noticed that there was one area that they all came from, which was Kingston, Jamaica. And I started to do research about Kingston, only to find out that Bob Marley came from Trenchtown, which was found in Kingston, Jamaica. I knew that I had to get into Trenchtown. How does one just walk into Trenchtown? Trenchtown has always been known to be a dangerous garrison of Jamaica. So with me not having any connections, I didn't know how I was gonna get into Trenchtown. Luckily for me, I have one cousin that still lives in Kingston. I called him and I asked him, like, listen, I'm coming to Jamaica. You think you could bring me to Trenchtown? And he said, what? Trenchtown? Out of all places, Trenchtown? And I was like, yeah. And he said, I don't know nobody from Trenchtown. So I said, well, you gotta find it, because that's where the story's gonna begin.
How did you survive?
Well, while living in Trenchtown, you know, as a young man, surviving was easy. The only thing you'd have to really look out for was the police, you know. Because the police could just get you, frame you, you go to prison, and you're gone.
Peter Touch, Bob Marley, Bunny Wailer, they are the voice for the poor people. That's why they name the Wailers, because they wail, they're crying for the poor.
This, I the ghetto upstairs, you see me? Come in, come watch how I go. Look up on my staircase them.
The moment I got to Jamaica, the film took a life of its own. As I had mentioned in the last film, your gift will make room for you, but not only will it make room for you, it will bring you amongst great men.
100 million or nothing for Jordan. From you looking at me, I know I'm a charge up. Me and them girl in me house, I drink any serum. Daron. I'm wearing jeans and my shoes are Gucci, have the shirt for prove it. Them boy they a newbie, I'm a bitch, them bougie, I'm a lifestyle, a movie. G-Elite double park, exhaust on the muffler. Oil feel chopping on a duffel bag. And I'm a science, I'm gonna go so strong. Paul just setting something late, I'm gonna buy a athlete and I never chat meat. Girl on the back of top freak, and she see the top me, so you know what that mean. Incense light up, I'm a high low, no afraid of high looks. Money they a pile up, don't size up, yo we can't broke. 100 million and nothing for Jordan. From you looking at me, I know I'm a charge up. Me and them girl in me house, I drink any serum. Daron.
Aye, 100 chicken and nothing for me chop out. When me looking at the drop and you know I say me charge up. No wrong.